Like, guess the price of this phone. It has a glass back, Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the front as well as back. It can not only record 4K videos but play 4K videos, HDR videos, has a 108 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel tele macro, 120 Hz AMOLED display. Like, it's really hard to find a con in this phone. And guess the price. I'll give you 2 seconds. It's a Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. Like, pardon the name, but it costed only 18,999. And 4 years later, the predecessor Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus, it cost 60% more. And I don't think inflation has gone that high. And this is just one example. This phone was recently launched in India, and compared to its previous version, it got all the upgrades: better performance, bigger battery, and yes, even a higher price. But the brand quietly removed the stereo speakers. And have a look at this. I just recorded a 4K video from my friend's phone, and when I play it on this phone, it can't even play it. Now, exactly 1 year ago, we made a video about the biggest smartphone gimmicks in the industry, and no, these gimmicks haven't gotten anywhere. In fact, in 2025, we have got even more of them. And we'll start from the smallest to the worst trend of this year. I'm not even talking about the Samsung A, NM series, like the current A17, that dewdrop notch and all of that. Nah, not of that. These 6 trends are the exact reason why budget smartphones in 2025 just suck. This is Prateek and this is TechWiser Explained. Let's break down the most ridiculous trend in smartphones in 2025. Now, we recently ran a poll on YouTube community about what do you think is the price of a budget smartphone, and most people voted for 20,000. And this was like 10,000 just 3-4 years ago. And I get it why. Because if you want an overall balanced phone currently in India that can handle your day-to-day tasks for at least the next 2 to 3 years, you will have to spend at least 20,000. But the problem starts when brands start removing basic stuff even after the price hike. The first sad trend is lack of stereo speakers. Like, for example, the Vivo T3 from last year had stereo speakers. Now in T4, they did upgrade the processor and battery, which also increased the price, and it is fine, but they removed the stereo speakers. And it's not like the technology is rare or expensive. The same phone's cheaper variant, T4X, has stereo speakers. You pay more for a T4 and you get lesser features. What's up, bro? And if you use TWS or headphone and you aren't bothered about that stereo speaker, hold on. Now, this next trend is more psychological rather than physical. This big circular camera layout on budget phones. Now, circular modules look good when they actually serve a purpose, like on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra or the Vivo X200 Pro, where you get multiple large sensors inside them. But here, most of these phones only pack one proper camera. The other is usually a 2 megapixel depth sensor, which practically adds nothing to your photos. Like, some brands say that it serves as a bokeh camera, but see, if I cover this lens and go to portrait mode, phone doesn't even use the camera, it still takes a photo. So what's the point of having such a massive layout if there's only one real camera doing all the work? And it's not just about look. This design has practical issues too. Without a case, your finger keeps poking into the camera ring, which feels uncomfortable. So instead of putting effort into making a budget phone look like an ultra flagship, brands should put their effort into better sensors or useful features, because users don't care how big the camera bump is. Like, bigger is not always better. We care about how good the photos turn out. And on the topic of camera, this next trend is something which started right after COVID in 2022. The lack of 4K recording. Budget smartphones flaunt good gameplay in BGMI. In fact, you get 120 FPS gaming in BGMI under 20,000. And it's given. Gaming is smooth, multitasking is not at all a problem, and even in outdoor usage, these phones don't throttle. But a basic task like doing 4K recording is getting non-existent. And this is mainly because of the cost cutting on the hardware side. Like, take the new Redmi 15 for example, it runs on Snapdragon 6S Gen 3. So now, since the processor doesn't support 4K recording, the phone obviously can't do it either. Now you might be like, bro, it's fine, I'll just record in 1080p. Well, here's the bigger issue. It's not just recording. Suppose in a party, if someone records a 4K video, sends out the video to you on your phone, it cannot even play 4K video. And it's not like you don't get these features at this price. Take the Infinix Note 50s 5G for example. It not only supports 4K recording from the main camera, but even from the ultra wide angle camera. Why? Because it has a much more capable processor. And it is not just the camera experience which is downgraded. Another trend we are seeing in 2025 is some brands quietly remove UI animations from the smartphone. Now, in some cases, I get it. If the phone has a weaker processor, skipping animations might make it feel more snappy and is good overall to the user. Like this new Redmi 15 or even the OnePlus Nord CE4 Lite from last year, both of them skip animation in the UI because the processor is weak. But here's the strange part. Even phones with decent processors are doing this. Take the Realme P3 Pro for example, which has a pretty capable processor. Heck, it can even run BGMI at 90 FPS without breaking a sweat. Yet when you open apps, no animation. Now why is this happening? See, it's done on purpose to make the higher variant feel smoother or faster. And honestly, if a phone can handle 90 FPS gaming, it can definitely handle app opening and closing animation. Come on. Now, the next one is something which is not just with smartphone manufacturers, but the whole smartphone industry in itself. Previously, we saw smartphones getting rebranded, which was fine, like Redmi to Poco phones, Vivo to iQOO phones. Over the time, it just became the norm and it still happens. But now, this rebranding has reached to processors and in fact to smartphone components like camera sensors. Currently, this Redmi Note 15 came with Snapdragon 6S Gen 3. It's the same Snapdragon 695 rebranded, a 4-year-old processor. Another example, back in 2022, Sony launched the Lithia series of mobile camera sensors. And the interesting part is entire Lithia series isn't really new. They're basically rebranded versions of the older IMX series. The entire camera sensor I'm talking about, not just one. For example, most of the phones under 20,000 these days come with the Sony Lithia 600 sensor, but in reality, it's just a rebranded Sony IMX 882. Similarly, another very popular sensor is Lithia 700, which you will see in many mid-range phones, but again, it's nothing new. It's basically the Sony IMX 890 with a fresh name. Now, if the phone delivers good photos, it doesn't matter what the label says. Brands do this because you feel new is better. Just don't get too much caught up in names like Lithia or IMX or ISOCELL or OmniVision. At the end of the day, what matters more is the actual image processing, optimization and software tuning that the smartphone brand does. Because even the best sensor can take bad photos if the software isn't good. Now, remember the time when Apple first removed chargers from the box? Every other company trolled them like crazy. And guess what? They all quietly followed the same path. Now, this isn't new. Apple has always had this influence, whether it is removing the headphone jack or chargers. Others mocked it at first and then blindly copied. Now, I can still understand this trend with flagships with all the environment-friendly approach. A user which is spending 1 lakh rupees on a smartphone might already have a smartphone at home or at least will have the money to buy a charger. But this trend even trickled down to budget smartphones. Samsung Nothing and others ditched chargers from the box. Thankfully, Samsung and CMF are now bundling chargers again. But now instead of chargers, some brands have now started removing cases from the box or even scratch guard. Like Motorola's recent phone, the Moto G96 and G86 Power, they don't come with a case inside. Now you might think, okay, not a big deal. I can always buy one. But for budget users, those in-box accessories actually add value. A good quality case will easily cost around 250 to 500 rupees. Scratch guard costs 250 to 500 rupees. See, there's a term called shrinkflation. Imagine that 2 rupees shampoo packet. You cannot reduce the price of the shampoo even further because, hey, it's 2 rupees. But how do you still make profits over the years from this 2 rupees shampoo? Well, you essentially decrease the quantity of the shampoo and keep the price same as 2 rupees. This is called shrinkflation and this is what is happening. So essentially, you're paying the same or more for less in the box or a smaller box. And this last trend is more the reason why budget smartphones entirely suck. See, there's a very popular economic trend. If making a product or smartphone has 3 factors, appearance, manufacturing and practicality, and 5 years back, all of them had equal weight and you sold the best smartphone for 20,000, the phone was really good. However, over the years, the manufacturing cost is increasing, but you cannot increase the price. You still have to sell a budget phone to the new user because he only has 20,000. So manufacturing cost increases, you have to increase the appearance by adding features like IP rating under 20,000. It's not even covered under warranty. Wireless charging under 20,000. I have only used it once in my life. Virtual RAM doesn't work. These features add up to the appearance and helps you to sell the phone well. And all of this increase in cost compromise the main important thing, functionality. Like the budget phone can barely click 3 to 4 photos in a go. There's a lag while using it. Service center support is bad or just plain. There's no repair part. I see a lot of smartphones doing this and this is just bad. See, at the end of the day, these gimmicks, whether it's removing stereo speakers, skipping 4K, killing animations, all point to one thing: unnecessary compromises. I believe there's a trend. Once a company sells enough budget smartphone in India, they slowly move to a premium brand and then increase their prices. In this case, the newer brands then start offering better specs like Infinix, Tecno, CMF, or better phones from the previous year which have gotten a price cut. I think audiences should give a shot to these previous year phones, or if the service in your area is good, give the new brand a shot. And will we stop covering budget smartphones because they suck? Well, we have slowly stopped it. And we only cover good budget smartphones or do useful comparisons between them, so it's useful for you. Subscribe for that. Also tell us in the comments if we missed out on any other gimmick in the market under 20,000. On that note, this is signing off. See you in the next video. Pew pew. Pew.